From the University of Nebraska at Omaha, this is NCITE Insights. I'm your host, Blake Ursch, in for Aaron Grace. Join us as we discuss today's most pressing issues in terrorism and targeted violence with experts from the field. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to NCITE Insights. Today we have Karlie and Jacylan. These are two students that we have here, MBA students here at NCITE. One of my favorite things to do on this podcast is to get students in to talk about their experience here. So today, Karlie and Jacylan are going to talk about their experience as business students here. One of our projects at NCITE involves getting business students interested in Homeland Security. So first off, guys, I'm going to talk to both of you, and whoever wants to jump in can jump in. So, but do you just want to tell our listeners just a little bit about yourselves?
My name is Karlie Chonis. I grew up in Omaha, went to Daniel J. Gross Catholic for high school, started my collegiate kind of career with softball over at Iowa Western Community College, and I received my associate's degree of science there. Transferred over here to UNO, was part of the softball team here for the past 2 years as well, and was able to grab my bachelor's of business administration with my concentration in management and leadership, and now my first year of my MBA. So, and just regular business administration, no concentration this year. But yeah.
Cool. And I am from and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska. I went to high school at Pius X, and from there I continued my education at the University of Nebraska, Kearney. I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science, majoring in health sciences and minoring in healthcare administration. Throughout my undergrad, I was a part of the UNK women's soccer team. I held a captaincy for my junior and senior seasons. And from there, I am here at UNO in my second semester of the MBA program and hold an assistantship with NCITE.
Cool. Do you guys want to tell me a little bit about what you do at NCITE?
Yeah, my specific role is I'm a project manager. So I kind of plan meetings with project personnel, make sure that I get all the milestones and deliverables all kind of taken care of. Biggest one, I would say, I send out surveys pre and post for the projects that we were given to the CBA students. So whether it's like seeing how their awareness has changed within like before the class and after the class, and kind of get their feedback about what they liked about it, what they maybe would have liked to see more about it, build that up a little bit. But yeah, I've really loved working here. I think it's helped me a lot with my like workforce development, and I think it's a great position. So yeah.
Yeah. And on the projects, my assistantship, I am a pathways coordinator. So I focus on workforce development and increasing awareness of careers within the Homeland Security enterprise. So specifically, that looks like all of UNO, but specifically students here at NCITE. I just through personal market research get jobs, opportunities, internships, trainings, whatever it may be, publish it, as you know, in the weekly NCITE newsletter.
Thank you for the plug. Yeah.
But then also send it out to a group of students who have expressed interest in receiving that information on careers within the HSE after they've completed their capstone courses with Dr. Aaron Bass and or Dr. Aaron Plague-and-Cool Miles. I just send that out in like an email train, and they get the information that they have expressed interest in. And then finally, in addition to workforce development and increasing awareness, I am exploring academic programs and specifically other learning modules like micro-credentials. So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the MBA program itself? Because I have been at NCITE for 2.5 years almost, just about. And I remember one of the first things when I saw that we did this, to me, it's like, I can also speak to personal experience this as another MBA student, not that it's relevant to this conversation. To me, when I first got here, the two things seemed like two different, like business and Homeland Security seemed like two different things. Yeah. So can you tell us like what's the goal of this program, and what are some projects that students have worked on while they've been enrolled in it?
Yeah. The biggest thing with like the MBA is that they do offer a lot of different like paths and like concentrations you can go into. So whether that is management, leadership, HR, finance, sales, marketing. So there's a lot of different paths they can go into, and those skills that the students learn in those classes can help build that bridge from the business to the DHS realm, whether that is like cybersecurity or risk management. Public speaking is obviously a big one. Just honestly, a lot of the soft skills that you would learn in business, you don't really realize that translate over to a career in the DHS, what they do. So I think helping students get that, like, see that bridge and be able to feel confident in their skills that they're learning is what our biggest goal is, because I just don't think most students know that. Like, they just kind of go into it thinking like, oh, like, I'm just going to get my business degree and I'm going to go work in a business, like a financial place. Like, that's kind of like what everyone thinks, but they can do so much more if they just like dream bigger. So I think that's our biggest goal, is just to make them realize that what they do in these classes give them the applicable skills to help you with that career.
What are some like capstone projects that different teams have worked on throughout the duration of the program?
Yeah, last fall with Talk specifically, we had Dr. Steve Schultz had 3 supply chain management classes. He had supply chain management, logistics, and global sourcing. So each one of those projects we had through NCITE partners here, gave them some consulting to do, and they had projects based off of that. And then Dr. Erin Plegencool-Miles did her she had a capstone class, and they had 2 projects, one for CISA, one for INA. This INA one was particularly pretty interesting to me. It was just helping them build some like performance mechanisms to help with how their feedback is in that with their department. So that to me was pretty interesting, with the students being able to give them some recommendations of what they would say to help with them improve with that feedback mechanisms, and what they can do to give a better smoother transition into learning what they can do better for their consumers, because that's INA's biggest goal, is making sure that everything is good with their feedback specifically, and being able to take what others give them and be better in that realm. So, but I think you had a good one for the healthcare, right?
Yeah, and it really relates to kind of all the projects are stakeholder engagement. That's to answer your previous question, a huge collaboration of how business expertise can apply specifically to here at NCITE. So a project that I was particularly interested in, just with my academic and professional experiences, was the Resilient Healthcare Supply Chain Project. And that, with me being a graduate from the University of Nebraska at Kearney, I was able to bring in the Dean of the Arts and Sciences College there, Dr. Paul Twigg, and he offered his expertise in healthcare and was just able to be a source of collaboration for that facilitation of that project. So that was particularly interesting for me. Yeah,
that's very cool. Thank you. Karlie, I'm interested. We were talking a little bit before we started recording here about the role that you did, and you've told us that part of what you do is take the feedback from all these different classes. Mm-hmm. So what kinds of what do you hear from these business students who go through these programs and get exposed to Homeland Security? What are some common themes that you get when you're processing all that information?
Yeah, I mean, last semester alone, we were able to get the DHS awareness out to like 96 students. Just a slight plug, we have, since 2020, almost gone over 1,000 students that have been made aware of all the DHFs and having projects like that. So that is pretty awesome. But the biggest things I see is that no matter what, there's always an increase in interest in whether they believe there be applicable skills learned in that class. So obviously the pre-survey goes out before class or first week of class. So maybe they don't really know the skills they're going to learn yet. But then at the post-survey, the class is over with. So then everyone's just so excited that I actually did learn a lot more than I thought I was going to. So the applicable skills rating always goes up a bigger amount. And then we always ask what their interest levels are about problems in the DHS in general, and if they want jobs. And there's always an increase, whether it's 5 to 10%. But I mean, any increase is a great increase. But I just find it super cool that I have not seen any fault of there being a decrease in a statistic of any question that we would ask them. The biggest things we'd hear back is obviously when doing projects with DHS, there's some things that they won't have access to, which is can maybe cause a little bit of struggle. But I think for the most part, that's a bigger skill they learn, is problem solving. So they're able to find ways to get those answers without having to get those specific details from their clients. But Yeah, I mean, a lot of students loved it, and as JC said, we give about like maybe 30 students that express interest in wanting to hear about specific jobs with that DHS. So I think what we've done so far this semester has been awesome, and really happy to be a part of all of it. So
cool. I'm interested to know from both of you, like, what piqued your interest in doing and adding this to your MBA program and coming to NCITE. What got you interested in doing the kind of work that we do here?
Yeah, I kind of had a career shift a little bit. I went from my undergrad wanting to practice medicine and everything to just through my academic and professional experiences, like definitely saw a shift in like wanting to work more in a managerial position or workforce development. And that led me to UNO and to NCITE and this assistantship. And I have 100% felt a shift or effect from NCITE on my professional career trajectory. I definitely desire to work in workforce development or just being able to feel that reward of increasing others' awareness of the HSC or just of potential career opportunities. Because like Karlie kind of mentioned, students don't always know how applicable their skills are necessarily. And I feel like the MBA program here at UNO is trying to do just that, is bring that awareness to what they can all do with their skills that are acquired. And a large portion of that, kind of how you discussed, is just taking their skills and being able to implement them, yes, to every career really in any industry, whether it's procurement, financial analysis, budgeting, that you see in every company. You have to have those, right? But also the specific jobs or things that they can do, whether that's increasing security measures or operations managers or analysts that kind of look over security protocol. So really being able to firsthand witness that increase in awareness or desire to know more about what they can do has definitely played a huge impact on what I want to do, even with my own future. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I grew up like all around sports, and that was kind of like the thing that I was like, yeah, like I want a career in sports, and that's kind of like that's it. That's what I want. And coming here, and I was like, I just did business management, and my head was like, oh, that'll go towards sports management. Everything will be fine. But I knew I wanted to get my master's degree, and then I saw the posting for the NCITE GA, and I was like, wow, that looks like super cool. Like when I was younger, my dad was a police officer, so it kind of like wanted me. I was like, oh, well, that's him. I would love to do something like that, or watching all the TV shows, you want to be like an FBI agent. So like, a young me was dreaming really big there. But I've come to the part that I want a career where I can make a difference and help people out. So whether that is through an athletic coaching standpoint, or that's kind of what I do on the side. But like doing this, I can also tell that I am able to help make a difference in the College of Business and those students that are taking these courses. NCITE helped me that. Like Dr. Aaron Bass has been amazing with his helping out with like personal development and like just getting bigger, like building your skills, building your network has been super huge. Like with this like position, I've been able to go like job shadow at a lot of places and be able to kind of get a different sense about what I want. And she's awesome with like, although like you're working with NCITE, like if you want a different career path, she will help us with whatever that is, and like that's been amazing to have. But I do definitely think working here has opened my eyes to a career path with like either Homeland Security or with like a government funding place. But yeah, I fell in love with it the second that we've been here, and I'm sad that it's only a 2-year program, but it's okay. I'll do my best with those 2 years.
You mentioned earlier, you have both mentioned in some way that the soft skills that you get in a business program translate well into national security. I'm wondering, in your experience at NCITE, what are some of the skills since you've started here that you feel like you've developed just through your work here?
Definitely for me, just communication, balancing interpersonal relationships, sort of that overall professional development. I feel like anyone you talk to in the environment is contributing to making those skills better. No matter where you are, what meeting you may be sitting in on, or event or luncheon, just overall professional development of your person as a whole. There's so much opportunity, and there's so much kind of how you touched on how Aaron Bass is just so devoted to professional development. I feel like everyone here is. And it's really rewarding to be able to feel like everyone's invested in your best interests and development. So that's kind of been really amazing to be a part of.
I think with like me personally, with like I have always been a little bit on the shyer side when it comes to like doing things, and maybe you can tell that I talk a little fast, but so public speaking hasn't been the greatest for me, but doing something like this, for example, has been awesome, and like learning to kind of be more confident in yourself and those soft skills, and like those soft skills could even be like how you email someone professionally. Like that's like something huge. Like I feel like I communicate a lot through emails, especially with scheduling meetings and all that kind of stuff, and kind of how Jacylan said, like with how the setup is at NCITE and how we're always surrounded by other students, you're able to learn from their colleges and like how different aspects, like whether it's IO Psych or anything like that. And I think that's also another thing that's been super cool, is like being able to learn and feed off of others. But I think, yeah, the most specific skills would definitely be like the public speaking. Problem solving is a really big one because nothing's ever going to go to plan, I feel like. And so having that backup plan and having different options to go for has been really good. And I think working here is like, it's a smooth thing. Like, yes, it may suck that we're getting off track a little bit, but we'll always find our way back to like the same path. So that's been a really big one.
What would you say are like some of the more formative experiences that you've had here, or even just like the most memorable? Like we talked a little bit about this earlier, so I know that you have an answer to this, but for our listeners, what are your big takeaways so far from your time here? Yeah,
there's been so many, which is a big thing. Like whether it's we've been able to go to a lot of webinars and hearing a lot from other places, not even like within our consortium, has been huge. I know we talked a little bit about like our workforce development, so that has been something that was pretty big for me. So going to a lot of like future work symposiums. We're going to like the ICANN at CHI conference, which will be really good. But gosh, there's so many good memories. But maybe the favorite one for me personally is just seeing the increase of students' engagement really going up, and like whether it's like I could talk about at school, like for classes, for example, I say where I work, everyone's interested about it. So like that's something really cool to me, is that I can say where I work and then people are like, oh, like what's that like, or what does that entail? Like that sounds super awesome. Like just having the title of like NCITE in my career and having so many conversations spike because of it has been super cool. But yeah, meeting JC.
But yeah, we're always together.
I love it.
How about you, JC?
For me, the WIN event, Women Investing in Nebraska, was really cool to be a part of. It's kind of what we do day to day, but being able to bring in those professionals and show them what we do, or show them the projects, or show them the importance behind it. So again, that's developing and increasing awareness of even working professionals that are established in their careers. That was really cool. It was really cool to be a part of, and just a great networking event. But that was a specific example. But honestly, the team collaboration here in general, every day on a daily basis, is just amazing to be a part of. Being able to bounce ideas off of each other, learn about other colleagues' projects that they're working on. Overall, it's just a great work environment and place to develop as a professional. So
cool. What are your guys' long-term career goals?
Yeah, just
in a sentence, just map out your entire future.
Yeah, here we go. Well, as I briefly mentioned, like NCITE has definitely affected my career trajectory, and I do have a concentration in human resources management for my MBA program, but specifically for long term, I know I desire to have a role in workforce development and acquisition, being able to work with others in a team environment, or manage a team to expand overall workforce development or work environment development. That is definitely an area I want to work in. And I would say a large portion of that self-awareness of knowing I want to do that is due to my development at NCITE. So, yeah.
Honestly, working here has caused me to have a shift. So like I said, I was kind of dead set on the sports thing when I was going into college, and now that has changed a little bit. And I can't believe I forgot to mention this earlier, but I was able to go to the FBI Academy when I first joined here. Like I think having NCITE on my resume was a huge thing in terms of how I got chosen for that. But learning that there are so many like little positions in the FBI, for example, that like maybe I don't want to be a field agent, but I could definitely help out in the comms, or I could help out in other aspects. Like that was super awesome to me, and definitely like things like that, or maybe things maybe more in the business world that I didn't think of before. Like just like I know that like working here, like everyone kind of thinks it's all about like what we do with the necessarily counterterrorism aspect of things, but it's so much more than that, and it really can open you up to whether like any position you'd want to go into. So I can't say exactly what I want to do for a career path right now, but I'm definitely working on it, and it's definitely letting me like choose, like having a broader, or not broader, but more perspective about what I'd want to do for a potential career path.
Cool.
Yeah.
You guys have both mentioned athletics as like part of your formative like development professionally. Mm-hmm. And so I'm interested, or your college careers, I'm interested, how did those experiences for each of you influence like the path that you're on now?
Yeah, that is a big question. My experience with athletics at Karlie was amazing. I loved it, but definitely problem solving and adaptability. There's a lot thrown at me that maybe I wasn't expecting, or it was just a different scenario than, expected. I went through a couple different coaches, but so adaptability, communication, and problem solving, definitely. And that all leads into my position and in my assistantship here. Communication throughout team collaboration and the environment, it's all very, very important. So athletics has definitely been formative in the best ways in attributing to professional development.
Yeah. I don't know. I think growing up playing a lot of sports, like that was what I knew. And I think for personally, like I made a lot of great relationships. So I want to make a career path or a career sense of like whatever I do, I give my 100%. And I think that's a big thing in athletics is like you can't go into doing things less than 100% because it's noticeable. I think it's a big thing that goes into the business world, but like because doing 100%, like 100% into like relationships, your teammates, like everything like that will also translate to if you have like a project team, like everything's still together as one. I think a lot of times like being a selfish player can also translate to being a selfish person in the real world. And my biggest thing is I want to make sure that if I'm like coaching, I want to build girls like athletically on the field, but I also want them to be good people, and I want them to be able to earn skills and be like feel confident in themselves outside of that realm. But yeah, I think that maybe like learning from who like my coaches in the past, like maybe what I did like, what I didn't like, how it made me feel, like not basing my worth on my performance is something that I don't want anyone to go through. And I know that is kind of a struggle with athletes is they always do that, and it just happens. Like there's kind of no controlling that, but making sure that they just know that they're more than what they believe they are, and their stats don't describe them, that kind of thing. But teamwork is a big thing in selfishness or selflessness. But it goes forever, and you're gonna like someone's gonna get a promotion over you, and you're gonna get mad about it, and someone might get your starting spot over you, and like what you can do based off of what you've learned in your athletics into a professional career is what I kind of strive to do with my coaching and stuff. But
and like I have mentioned briefly, I am also a business student. It was a big shift for me. I was a journalism student. I got my degree in journalism and just decided to go a different tack for my graduate degree. I'm interested in, we've talked a lot about how business can apply to Homeland Security or national security and the work we do at NCITE, but just generally speaking from like a business education, what do you think, what are you learning now as a business student that you think is going to help you most in your career moving forward?
Definitely external collaboration and expertise. I feel like getting other people's opinion or learning from their experiences, being able to take all of that and kind of how you touched on even how athletics have allowed us to balance interpersonal relationships, being able to utilize all of that for the benefit of the company or of the team that you're working on. It's not always necessarily how many people you have or the credentials behind their name, but just getting that outside perspective or outside experience. And it's just exactly that, what business students or what the MBA program offers here at NCITE is bringing that private sector into the governmental sector. It's definitely being able to take all of that and use it to your advantage and being able to pinpoint different strengths and different personnel and how each of those strengths can better the situation or progress it even further instead of focusing on maybe what people are lacking. Just being able to look at your resources, look at your personnel, and allocate strengths to the goal in mind. And that is definitely like one of the biggest things I am taking away from my experiences in the academic program.
Yeah. Me personally, like we started with the MBA, like your first class you have to take is like skills for leadership. I personally like love that class. I think the stuff that you learn in terms of like how you maybe have to treat different situations and like going about certain conversations with your staff workers or even like other employees is huge. Like you're an adult now, you can't really like go like tell someone that this person's making you mad. Like you have to go confront those conversations one-on-one, but maybe it can't be an angry conversation. It has to be like a calm conversation, and being able to learn those skills that can help you either with a employee that's the same rank as you, or if you are like a manager and you have to talk to your employees, like being able to learn all those different types of ways and how you can have different types of conversations is super important, and that can go for like no matter what you go into, and I think that's a big thing I've learned. Another one would be probably all the like, I'm a numbers person and I don't know why, but like I'm in finance right now and I love finance, but like that's and I know it's a hot.
You and I are very different people. Yeah.
But yeah, I have enjoyed every second of going into business. Like that wasn't my starting point actually. Like I was going to go into like be like a personal trainer, so I was doing a lot of like science. I'm not a science person anymore. So, but I'm happy I chose business for what I do, and I've loved all the classes that I've had, and our professors here are great. So there's this honestly like probably so many important skills I'm not mentioning and that I'm gonna regret, but it's all right. There's too many to remember. So. Gotcha.
Cool. Well, thanks guys. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Oh goodness.
Honestly, I'm just grateful for all the opportunity that we've been offered. Again, I know we've touched on development, but opportunity between, yes, developing professionally, but also just creating those relationships and getting to know other individuals. I mean, you mentioned kind of, even in your last answer, how knowing the person and best way to communicate with them, but also between the MBA program at UNO and NCITE, I've really learned that knowing the person behind the individual that you work with, knowing what motivates them, what their goals are, I would say those are both two things that UNO and NCITE do a great job of projecting to get to know, and a great trajectory to get to the end goals of, well, goals and projects or any goals in mind. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you basically touched on the main stuff. I mean, it's just been, and it's been awesome to work here and like be in a work environment where everyone cares about everyone. Like there's no one who's gonna act like they have that hierarchy over you. And I think that's awesome. Like I'm never nervous to go approach somebody to ask a question to. And I think this having a healthy work environment, a healthy culture, like obviously like Gina's a big part of that and Gina's amazing. So I just, more than happy to be here and really thankful for the opportunity. So.
Cool. Well, thank you both for coming on the show today, and we will see you next time.
All right, thank
you.
This series is produced by Ben Batafarano, Aaron Grace, Scott Jordan, and Blake Ursch. Thank you for joining us on another episode of NCITE Insights. NCITE is an academic center of excellence for the Department of Homeland Security. Looking for more info? Check out our website at incite.unomaha.edu or email us at incite@unomaha.edu.